The newest episode of Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man has just set up the origin for one of Spider-Man's biggest villains. Let's talk about episode 3 with full spoilers. We were left off on a massive cliffhanger last week when episode 2 revealed that Norman Osborn has figured out that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. And while this episode does deal a lot with their relationship and Peter eventually bringing Norman Osborn into the fold, becoming this version of Peter Parker's Tony Stark, a lot of the episode focused on Lonnie Lincoln and his origin to become the character known as Tombstone. Yes, if you did not catch it, if it did not click in your brain, if you don't know who the character is, Lonnie Lincoln, the high school buddy of Peter Parker, who we have had a lot of time with so far this season, is the supervillain known as Tombstone in the comic books, as well as the previous animated TV shows. Now, we're going to be spending a lot of time with Lonnie Lincoln because he is clearly a major part of the show, kind of a main character in a way, alongside Peter Parker, Norman Osborn, and Nico, and a couple of others. And while a lot of other versions of this character in the past have pretty much set this character up to be bad from the beginning, he is clearly a very good guy, but he is kind of pushed to make a decision because his younger brother joins a gang, and instead of his younger brother being in the gang, he has now swapped places with him and reluctantly wanting to join this gang to protect his brother. But now it's going to be interesting on how they tell the story of this character basically falling down and becoming this character of Tombstone, because the Lonnie Lincoln that we have met so far is a very good and bright young man. He was raised right by his parents. He's going to a great school with great friends. He's doing well in school. He's the football star. How does that character transition into becoming Tombstone? Now, outside of that, which I thought was the most prominent stuff in the episode, we obviously had the relationship building between Peter and Norman, which was so vastly important. He is his version of Tony Stark. That is essentially what's happening here. And after not wanting Norman to join the team and help him, he gets into a fight with a version of Speed Demon and Tarantula, villains from the comic books, and he learns that Norman can be a massive asset to him as he is learning and growing to become Spider-Man. And with that is going to be massive upgrades for this character, not just the technology that he has, but the suit that he's going to be wearing. We saw in that dinner sequence, Norman was already coming up with ideas and putting stuff down in his phone on how he can help Spider-Man, and we are going to see a transition from this version of Spider-Man to that version we have seen in trailers and promo images of the white and blue suit. And lastly, just like we talked about with episode 1, where it was kind of a prequel to Civil War, taking bits and pieces from the prime timeline of the MCU, we saw a version of Civil War happening in this episode. The Sokovia Accords are in this universe. Cap and Tony Stark are going at it. The airport fight happened in Germany. It's really cool to see this universe kind of take pieces from what we know in the larger MCU and adapt it to this version of Spider-Man.